Which QB competition has higher stakes? Cam Newton versus Mac Jones or Trey Lance versus Jimmy G?
I'm thrown off by the fact that Pablo and I made the same listening face when the question was asked. That's going to bother me for the rest of the... Okay, they're both pretty high stakes. Starting in New England, we have Cam Newton, who's been doing well in the preseason. People assumed he would probably be the starting quarterback. Then he missed because of a misunderstanding of the COVID protocols, has missed 5 days of being in person at practice. He's been participating digitally. He returns today to the team, but in the interim, Mac Jones, the Patriots' first-round draft pick, has been performing well. Now, that's well at practice, which has an asterisk on it that people kind of like to gloss over in moments like this where it seems like a narrative can be formed or seized upon. Mac Jones should look good in practice. It is eventually the goal, I think, for him to take over the team. The one thing I would say is in Cam's favor, the biggest factor is week 5. It's when Tom Brady returns to Gillette and plays the Patriots. And I think that it's logically, you wouldn't want to start a rookie in a situation like that if you didn't have to. That's a lot of pressure. We don't know how the crowd is going to react. As somebody who would classify herself as part of that crowd, I don't know how I'm going to feel during that game. So it's kind of a big emotional question mark to throw a rookie into. So you would think you would want a veteran to be in charge in that situation. But another big question mark is this misunderstanding is very confusing. We don't really understand whose misunderstanding it was, whether it was Cam's or the team's misunderstanding of the rules, which is a little bit harder for me to believe. But what we do know moving forward is that if Cam Newton does not get vaccinated, then this could continue to be a problem for the rest of the season, because as we know, this season, NFL players who are unvaccinated have different rules than players who are vaccinated, and they have to quarantine for a certain amount of time, remove themselves from the team. And so that's a huge issue. As for San Francisco, I should probably just let one of you talk about it because I've been talking for too long. But you go.
Well, hold on here, Katie, because your argument about the Patriots is basically like, look, it's a higher stake situation because I need the Patriots to beat Tom Brady in week 5.
I didn't say
and
that.
For that reason,
That's exactly.
Thank you, Izzy. I just want to clarify the stakes here as she has described them. So for me, I am going to take the other side of the equation here because the 49ers are not dealing with the vaccine and the ambiguity around Cam's understanding of protocol. And that is theoretically like, an advantage. They have clarity on that. But what they don't have clarity on right now is whether Trey Lance is like as good as Mac Jones, which is a question that if you were to just rewind how we all talked about all of this, I don't know, several months now, like you would get laughed at for suggesting that. And now the 49ers have this situation where because Jimmy Garoppolo kind of like smiled and winked and nodded and kind of like oohed in our direction about like, hey, are you the starter? And he's like, I have a pretty good idea. Wink. Well, I think, okay, it's probably going to be Jimmy G because who could deny that face? But also the problem is the guy that they're relying on to eventually take that job may not be ready for a long time. Again, we're watching preseason. All the caveats Katie gave apply here. But if you're the Patriots, you're feeling real good about the fact that you got 2 of these guys in case one of them falters. The Niners, man, I don't know if they feel good about what happens if Jimmy G gets hurt, which he often does.
I have Pablo saying the word wink every time he has winked at someone because, that's about right.
Just got to make sure they know.
When it comes to this week 5 game, look, Bill Belichick is going to put the best quarterback out there that's going to help him win that game. I don't care if it's a rookie. I don't care if it's Cam. He just wants to win that game against Tom Brady. Now, when it comes to which one of these is more significant, well, it feels like the San Francisco 49ers have a plan. It feels like Jimmy G can give you the wink and the smile because, hey, did you not notice that they're doing these special packages for Trey Lance? They're not going to do that if he's the starter, right? So you're going to, at the very least, start this way and maybe have a transition where if Trey's special packages end up doing really well, then maybe he can take over full time. On the other side, you're very much having to make this decision. Mac Jones is supposed to be the actual successor to Tom Brady. Cam Newton was just a fill-in, a stopgap, if you will. So if that can happen faster, great. But I will say this to Katie's point about practice, they're not hitting, right? So they're pulling up before they hit these guys in practice. So maybe, a receiver's feeling a little bit more confident there. Maybe a quarterback's feeling a little bit more confident there. And here's the other part about this. Trey Lance, Zach Wilson, they are the current day NBA style, NFL style quarterback. They can move, they can throw on the move. when we get to a point where Mac Jones have to show off his athleticism, that's maybe where we'll see the problem, right? Pockets collapsing, maybe he can get out of it, but maybe not as accurate on the move the way some of these other quarterbacks are. That we haven't seen yet, but it's possible. You know, Bill Belichick has devised an offense for a pocket quarterback in the past. So maybe, just maybe, this guy can work out as well.
It's also worth noting that Jimmy G, after winking or smiling or whatever it is that he did, said that he spoke with Drew Brees about what it's like to have a quarterback get switched in every now and then for a couple plays, similar to what Taysom Hill was doing. So it's possible that that could be the direction the 49ers are leaning in. What are you laughing so hard at?
I just like the idea that Jimmy Garoppolo has basically said, look, I can't say if the starter is Jimmy G, but let's just say it's Jay Garoppolo.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.